Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at the Dream Giveaway Garage, and guess what? I probably have one of the most iconic cars of all time. This is a 1966 Corvette convertible, but not any Corvette convertible. This one has a 427 cubic inch V8. But before we get into this classic Stingray, I want to talk about what's going on here. So there's been a lot of chatter nowadays about the C8 Corvette, that mid-engine Corvette. Well, guess what? The Corvette's been around since 1953. This 66 Corvette is near the end of the second generation. Because remember, when we say C8, we're talking about the 8th generation of the Corvette. This is the C2, the second generation. So generation 1, C1, went from 53 all the way to 62. This generation is actually the shortest of all of them. It went from 63 to 67. Now, what's fascinating about the C2 generation, it's one of the most highly collectible, not only because of its style, but definitely because of its performance and things that were happening with this car as it was battling on the racetracks around the country, especially against those pesky 427 Cobras. One of the things that kind of stands out in my mind that makes this generation so unique is that, especially for 1966, there were actually more convertibles built than there were coupes. Total Corvette production was around 27,752 examples. This convertible is one of 17,000 and change when it comes to convertibles, but it has some very unique options. It's a 427. That's always a good thing. It's got posi traction, it's got a 4-speed, and it's a convertible with air conditioning, which was a very, very rare option back in the 1960s. But one thing is for certain, we talk about the C8, we talk about how its performance is so great. Is this generation, is the C2, especially something like the 66 Corvette, is this the greatest of all Corvettes? Let's go ahead, dive into this ermine white C2 66 and find out. Right off the bat, Stingray. Stingray first made its name appearance in 63 and is still on this 66 Corvette. You fast forward to 2021, they're still using the Stingray name, and this overall design really has that Stingray look to it. Now, when we started at the front of the business, this was the first Corvette to have its classic pop-up headlights. That's something that has come and gone. You look at the new C8 Corvette, no longer are there pop-up headlights. Even the C6s and the C7s, no pop-up headlights, but just really shows that aerodynamic efficiency and the clean element of design by having those hidden. You'll notice up top the Corvette Stingray badge. I love the script, the Stingray name, the placement of it is absolutely perfect. Now, as we drop down, you're gonna have those chrome bumpers, classic to this style. You're gonna have that open grille area, finished in a nice aluminum finish, but really sleek, aerodynamic. And this, when we talk about the true father of the Corvette, Zora Arkus Duntev, who really believed that we should have a mid-engine Corvette, even all the way back in the late 1950s, he was extremely influential in developing this car, not only from a design standpoint, but also a performance standpoint. But I just love the proportions of the car, the marker lights, nice classic round style, one on each corner, and just, you could tell why this car is just so lusted after, this particular generation of Corvette. Of course, the highly lusted after one is gonna be the 63 split window, but still the 66, like I said, with the 427, the options is gonna be high on that list. Now, when we get on top of the hood, I love the way the nose, remember, all fiberglass. Love the nice rise right here in the center. You got the cross flags. Look at your C8. Go look in the garage, look at your C7. You still have that cross flag design with the Chevy bow tie, with the checker flag, because remember, this is America's true sports car. This is it. Love the hood. You're gonna have a nice rise. Of course, you're gonna get that reverse clamshell opening hood to showcase that engine, something that has gone away, unfortunately, especially because of now the mid-engine Corvette. But let's go around the bend and see what we're working with wheel and tire setup back in 66. What I love about this example, we have original aluminum knockoff wheels. So instead of there actually being lug nuts, you take a rubber mallet and you knock off this spinner, and that's how you mount and unmount wheels. No lug nuts. This was a form of technology, believe it or not, that was made for the racetrack because it allows you to take the wheels off a lot faster. When the car comes to the pits, you get your rubber mallet off, you spin that off, take the wheel on, put it back on, spin it on, and give it a couple taps. Love that classic design of the wheel and tires setup, especially even with the white walls. I'm not a big white wall fan, but it does work on this particular example here, and really just classic in its display with the ermine white. You can see that nice rise on the fenders from behind the wheel. It gives you a great vantage point, and just a classic, simple, clean lines. Now, when we get down into that fender, you're gonna get your side badges. This has that 427 turbojet V8, 7 liters, 427 cubic inches. I like the way they brought the cross flags over. Another design element is that side vent. Classic layout, love the 3 slots, gives it that Mako shark overall design. You have some brushed aluminum work that really kind of blends in nicely with the wheels, the way that the design is down the side of the vehicle. Of course, back then, you didn't get side mirrors unless you optioned it. This one just has one mirror on one side, no mirror on the other side. Of course, we're gonna have the top down on this convertible because that's really what it's all about. But even looking at the rear now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of these wheels? It's a 15-inch wheel, and the way that it sits, I love the way that the top portion of the tire is hidden by the fender. Gives it that perfect look. And this is how it came from the factory, which is wonderful. Now, as you wrap it around the rear, you'll see that gas cap center located right there. That's where you're gonna fuel up. And what I love about it is that when you close it, it's got the cross flags, that same design that kind of mimics the wheel. And you'll notice that body line that is picked up as on the front comes into the rear and then just disappears. You got your classic style radio antenna, our Corvette Stingray badge, and then when we drop down, this is what it's all about from the rear of the vehicle. You got your dual exhaust, one exhaust on each side, nice slash cut. The same looking chrome bumpers up front are brought to the back, and this is where we see the continuation of those round taillights, something that has also gone bye-bye with the newer Vettes. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop that hood and see what's powering our 66 Corvette. All right, guys, we got that reverse hood opened on our 66 Corvette. If we sneak behind, what we're looking at is that 427 cubic inch naturally aspirated V8. Now, what's interesting is that back then, horsepower numbers were underrated by the manufacturers because of the high premium costs on insurance companies. So if you look at the chrome air filter lid, you'll see the cross flags, 427 cubic inch, 390 horsepower. That number is definitely underrated. But what are we looking at? You're looking at the L36 V8, that 427 cubic inch, 7 liter V8, 390 horsepower on paper, 460 pound-feet of torque. It does have a 4-barrel carburetor underneath that air cleaner lid, and you're looking at connected to a 4-speed manual transmission. The car weighs 3,145 pounds, 0 to 60 in about 5.3 seconds. If you know how to dance on your twinkle toes, top speed 140 miles an hour. Quarter mile will blaze by around 13.8 seconds. Like I said, this has power steering, power brakes, air conditioning, the beautiful teak wood steering wheel, and that posi traction rear end. If you were wondering, well, Joe, how much did this cost? Back in 1966, this one with the amount of options was around $5,000, which may not sound like a lot today in 2021, but back then in 66 was quite pricey. But why don't we go ahead? If you're ready, I'm definitely ready. Let's fire up this 427 and hear what it sounds like. All right, guys, we're in this 1966 Corvette convertible, 427 power. Like I told you, with the way that this one is optioned back in 66, it cost around $5,000. The great news is you can win this from Dream Giveaway Garage. And if you get your giveaways, you want to put in that Raties Rise promo code, because if you spend more than $25, you're going to get double the ticket amount. But let's see what hopefully you'll be getting to park in your garage. To the door panels, all classic style. Now, remember, back during this time period, you could get power locks, power windows, but this is all manual controls. That little knob there, that is actually to open up the door. I love the classic style. You have two different cranks there for the different windows. You have your side window and you have that triangular corner window and a very, very small armrest. I can't zonk any of it because we got to keep it apples to apples comparison, and this was primo back in 1966. Now when we get to the dash, guess what? You got that crap handle for the passenger up top to hold on to, and this is a design element that actually went through many of the different generations. No, it's not on the C8, and that's a bummer to me because I really think that that's important for your passenger to be able to hold on. I love this brushed aluminum finish, the Corvette Stingray badge, looking really clean right there. And then you'll notice the dual cove. So you have your own cove, I have my own. Each one is different. When we get to the center stack, you're gonna have your speaker up top, no infotainment, none of that garbage. We have a clock, and I just love the classic styles of all the knobs and buttons in here. The air conditioning controls, you can see how you got your AC vents. Look at how they mount the radio actually vertically rather than horizontal, just for saving space. Everything just comes to a nice point for that center console area, and then this is where the magic really happens. Even today, just like back in 1966, slick shifting, 4-speed manual transmission. You of course have your required cigarette ashtray here. Slide that back. Love the aluminum finish. You got your gear pattern, shift pattern there, but reverse all the way over to the right, and what you have to do is you have to pull up on these tabs right here to get it into reverse. The other fascinating thing is the lack of safety features. You can actually start the engine without putting the clutch in, which really is not the safest of things, but that's how it was back then. You have a nice little area to lock in your seat belts, because all you had is a lap belt in here. I'm 6 feet tall. I feel really great in here. I mean, I would love to win this and park it in my garage, but with the top down, you got plenty of headroom. The teak wood steering wheel, which I'll show more to you when you come over to the business end. And then to wrap it off, you do have a nice little cubby area in the back. If you want to call it a trunk, it's more like a cubby area, but you got plenty of room for classic Twinkies. So if you still got Twinkies laying around from 1966, you still got the Twinkies. There's probably still good. You could keep them right in your 66 Corvette. I love the blue interior. I know red would have been a little bit more classic color combo, but the dark navy blue with the white, spot on the money. But why don't you come over to the business end, because like I said, I want to show you all the gauges and this beautiful optional teak wood steering wheel. All right, guys, here we are behind the wheel, the business end, that teak wood steering wheel. We're going to start off with the foot box. You can see the classic 3 pedals, not much of a dead pedal area to rest your left foot, but you know what? It's got the classic pedals that we want, the manual transmission. You do have the optional power brakes and power steering. And then the gauges, I just love the aeronautical look of them. You have your fuel gauge, your battery voltage gauge, your speedometer, windshield wiper, lights, and then of course that teak wood steering wheel. If you're wondering, well, what's this lever for? That's for your turn signals. You got the Corvette cross flag emblem right as your horn button there. Love the brushed aluminum spokes. And then the gauges are just absolutely stunning. Tachometer that red lines right around 5,300 RPM. You got your water temp gauge, oil pressure, you got your cigarette lighter, of course, and then starting your vehicle up, the key right to the right of all the gauges. And look at how nice she starts up. One turn, we are off, ready to rock and roll. But you know what? If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's take this 427 Corvette for a spin. All right, guys, we're in this 1966 Stingray Corvette convertible with the 427 and a 4-speed. Just a very, very special occasion for me that I get to share with you. Here in that V8, naturally aspirated power. Just put the smile on your face, man. Awesome teak wood steering wheel. I love the way the gauges are laid out. You just see what the 1960s were all about with this car. And it's crazy to think that there were people that raced these at well over 100 miles an hour. Very, very tight on the interior space. No bolstering in the seats. No shoulder belt. But you know what? It's classic
Americana, classic America's true sports car, the Corvette. And I get it. I get why this is the greatest generation of all the Corvettes. Here we go. First gear. The clutch is so easy to use. On throttle, yeah! Nice! You got those little skinny 15-inch wheels with those skinny tires on there. But you know what? That's what the technology was. That's where we were at with performance, with equipment. But this car runs so well. She is a sweetheart. This gearbox has nice short throws. Engagement is so spot on the money. Pickup point on the clutch is wonderful. Not a hard car to drive, even with the 427, if you could believe that. But here we go. On throttle. Yeah! Love it. Wonderful experience, nice and tight. Just feels so amazing. I feel like I'm at the 12 Hours of Sebring in 1966. Such a unique experience. I love it. I absolutely love it. So glad we got power brakes and power steering. That does help with the equation. But she runs so good. Nice steering feel for a car from 66. Remember, you got that hydraulic steering giving you such great feel and feedback. Look at this. First gear, here we go. Put the smile on your face a mile wide. You got the required power bulge. Everybody wants a bulge. You got it on that hood. Visibility is a premium in here. It's so easy, especially with the top down. Here we go. On throttle, yeah! This feels so great. It just feels so great to go through the gearbox, all the sensations, the smells. This is what it was all about. This is what it should be all about when driving a performance car. It's like something that's just been lost in translation. But everything works so wonderful. The tach's so large, speedometer nice and large, easy to see. I really love this car. I want to win this car. Look at this. Here we go. On throttle. The gearbox is so perfect. It really is. Look at this. So smooth. Just drives so wonderful. But it really shows the direction that Corvette was in at the time, especially going from the 50s into the 60s. Big changes were on the horizon for the C3, the third generation. That was the longest running generation from 68 all the way to 1982, if you could believe that. This thing just drives so well. I absolutely love this car. I'm so glad to share it with you. This is my first time driving a C2 ever. And this is a great one. Really nice. Obviously, torque is so instantaneous, comes down really low, very linear, pulls all the way through the rev range, all the way up to redline, which is amazing. And everybody loves this car. Classic Corvette, classic Americana. I'm just so glad to be able to share it with you. It just makes it extra special than if I was just driving by myself. I got you guys on the ride with me. There we go. High throttle. So freaking awesome. Hopefully this gave you a nice overall feel of what the second generation of the Corvette's all about. We're gonna get back to Dream Giveaway Garage and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second.
All right, guys. It's been one of those amazing days here at Dream Giveaway Garage. I definitely got to thank Ryan, Boomer, Blake, Lori, the whole crew, getting us access to this pristine 1966 Corvette 427, that manual transmission, just such a unique experience of an era that really has just disappeared. But you know what? When we look at Corvettes, is this the greatest? C2 is definitely gonna be one of the greatest of the generations, maybe even the greatest, because of cars like these, the styling, the design, the performance, the feel, and what it really meant for Chevrolet and America's true sports car. But if you want to keep seeing classic cars, classic sports cars, muscle cars, all sorts of cars on Rainey's Rides, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Rainey's Rides family. If you want to help us keep making great content just for you on the channel, click the link in the description. Get yourself some Rainey's Rides merch. Got to give it up to the queen of the camera. She's rocking that thing, rocking this Corvette. She is getting every angle. Show her some love in the comment section because she's busting her butt out here. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.